No matter how you travel, it's good to have a plan. Some people plan every minute. No sleep, bus, museum, another museum. While others only plan to take it day by day. When it comes to your finances, a plan is just as important. You can count on Credit Karma to give you the insights you need to understand your options so you can take charge of your financial path and find your way to money. Explore how you can make financial progress with confidence today. Intuit Credit Karma. Karma you can count on.
Are you looking for a new job or want a career change? Look no further than Monster.com. Need a little help standing out? Our expert resume writing services will make sure you shine. Want to brush up on your interview skills? Engage with our AI interview prep tool. Want some advice on negotiating your new salary? Visit our salary tools and extensive library of career advice articles, and you'll have all the tips and tricks you'll need to succeed. Visit Monster.com today and take the first step towards your career. Monster.com. Find your right job fit.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to When Reality Hits with Jax and Brittany. How's everybody doing today? I hope you've had a wonderful week.
How's everybody doing? Excited to be back.
Yes, we actually just got back from a trip to Big Bear with some of our friends. I don't know if you guys listening have ever been to Big Bear, California, but it is absolutely beautiful.
Had a lot of fun up there. I didn't. I don't know if a lot of you know, I went to Big Bear on past season of Vanderpump Rules, and I almost died. I almost drowned. No kidding. The air up there. I don't know if anybody's been to Big Bear or not, but the air density up there is really, really... I guess it's very thin. The air is very thin. So the last time I was up there on Vanderpump Rules, I went for a swim, and I swam out to the buoy and swam back, and I almost drowned. I couldn't do it. It was incredibly embarrassing. I had to call for a lifeguard. I was literally waving my arms up in the air and being like, you can come save me if you want to. It was just so embarrassing.
Like you were scared to even ask for help. You were like, if you want to, you can.
I know. It was like hurting my pride. It was
Thank God you were okay, though, because sheesh, it's dangerous.
The air quality up there, it's really good air up there, obviously, but it's just very thin.
It's the elevation.
It's the elevation. It's thin, and you get winded by doing anything. I was literally unpacking my bags in Big Bear, and I was like winded from doing that. But
so
anyway.
Jax was like, I'm going to go run, and then Jax is like, I'm going to go run, and then I'm going to go try to swim all the way to the buoy by myself. Thank goodness people were watching you, though, because that could have been a scary thing, you know?
And Janet was with us this trip, and she got me this shirt that was really cute. It was a picture of me waving for help. I'm sorry, everybody. Just to let you guys know, our son is in the background today.
He's playing
right now.
Real life. This is reality when reality hits.
You hear some screaming in the back. It's a little cruisy. But anyway, yeah, so Janet and Jason came up on the trip with us along with some of our other friends, and she brought a shirt for me that was kind of poking fun at the fact that I was asking for help. Anyway, the trip was a lot of fun. I felt like it was a baby moon for Janet, but I felt like it was a little bit of a couple's retreat.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun. We kind of got into everybody's life a little bit, and we drank a lot, and there was yeah, it was exciting, wasn't it, Bubba? And there was just a lot of conversation. There was a lot of dissecting of relationships. It was really interesting. It was a lot of fun. We drank a lot.
Our kids were at home with the babysitters, so it was kind of like a couple's getaway for a couple days. So it was fun.
But it was definitely nice. I mean, the house was absolutely beautiful. I love Big Bear. I've never really been up in the summertime or the springtime before. This is kind of the first time I've ever been this time of the year. Usually I go up during the winter because the skiing is just amazing.
Oh,
one of the beautiful things about California is that you can be skiing 1 hour, and then a couple hours later you can go surfing. So.
Yeah, that is super cool. Let me just talk to you guys real fast about skiing, though, because another time that we went on a trip to Big Bear, it was supposed to be a ski trip. It was whenever Jax and I first started dating, and Jax got me all the stuff, got me all the equipment, all the really cute North Face jacket, pants. I was just looking like I belonged on the hills.
It was one of our
the slopes.
It was one of our very first trips, so obviously I was kind of trying to impress her by buying all this stuff, and she kind of looked like one of the Kardashians in Aspen.
With the fur, the fake fur around my hood and stuff, and the snow boots with the.
So I got her up on the bunny hill, and she was on the chairlift, and.
Oh, and by the way, I absolutely hate heights, and we were. Okay, whenever I was little, I thought that I could snowboard and stuff. I had no fear. Well, I had not done that in years. So for some reason, I think that I'm going to be able to snowboard. And Jax does not take 1 second to help me learn how to ski. He's a skier and he loves to ski and he's actually really good at it. But I have absolutely no help. Nobody taught me what to do. I'm terrified of heights. So we're coming up on the ski lift. I am trying to get off. I have the snowboard hooked to one foot. I fall down. Jax is like yelling at me, stay down, stay down. People are going over my head on the ski lift. And I mean, it was just like the most traumatizing thing for me. After that, I was so embarrassed and I just was so over skiing. I sat at the top of the bunny hill and people just kept going down. Like little kids were skiing that looked like they were like 3 years old. And there I was sitting on the top of the bunny hill. And then I ended up walking down to the bottom. I was so traumatized.
And there was a little bar at the very bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
So she kind of is like, you know what, enough of this. I am going to the bar. So, yeah, that was the adventure. I mean, I think so the chairlift was actually coming over your head, and I was yelling, duck, duck, duck. So people's skis were coming right over her head. It was traumatizing.
Oh, my gosh. It was so crazy. But we laughed about it so hard, didn't we, Jax?
Yeah, it was really funny. Well, I think I laughed a little bit more than you did. I think you were a little bit more embarrassed. So you walked down to the bottom of the hill and hit the bar, and that was pretty much your extent of skiing.
Yeah, it put me in the hot tub with a couple drinks with my girls, and so we can just talk and have fun in the log cabin or go to the restaurants in the mountains. I'm all about that, but I don't think skiing is the life for me. I'm definitely not up on the slopes. Okay, so a lot of you have probably seen recently Jax's trailer for House of Villains.
Oh my gosh. So
Oh,
I've been dying
Lordy.
to talk about this show. There's only so much I can say right now until the show comes out, but I can kind of give you a little bit of a teaser here and there because I can talk about what was on the trailer. So obviously people are kind of hitting me up. They're like, what is going on between you and Shake? Yeah, I can pretty much say that him and I did not get along. And people are asking, how did Johnny Bananas and I get along? And people saw us in videos recently. So him and I are pretty good buddies. I hit it off really well with him. But yes, Shake was... he was on my hit list.
Well, we all saw the comment where you said, I will go back to jail for you. And I was like, oh, no.
Yeah,
what in the world is happening here? Because you are not going back to jail.
You know, I don't really watch any of the reality shows that my cast members were on. I haven't seen really anybody on TV before that I was on the show with. So I didn't know what show he was on. And then I did my research when I was there because, like I said, we were allowed to have our phones for a couple hours between like 1 and 3 in the morning. So I kind of Googled him and figured out who he was. And he is just not a very nice person. He's not a good guy. And not a lot of people really care for that guy. And I can definitely see why. So definitely I got triggered by that guy. Obviously, people know I have a very short fuse, and he triggered me quite a bit. So, yeah, you guys are going to have to wait and see, but that's pretty much all I can say on that. But, yeah, it was a very interesting time there.
Had you really never seen Johnny Bananas on TV? I mean, he was on MTV Challenges and like Real World or something. I don't know which one he was on, but like for years, like 20 years. I've even seen him on stuff before.
The only person that I that I remember from the Real World is The Miz, who is now a wrestler. And I also remember Puck. He was like the first one. And I think I remember maybe one other guy. But you know what? When I watched Real World, it was 1996, 1995, 94. I mean, it was old. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I stopped watching Real World and Road Rules like,
but he's kind of like a legend.
School.
He's been on it since for years and years.
Well,
so.
I know he's a legend, and I know he's been on TV for a long time, and I know he's a big star in the MTV world, and he's kind of on every challenge, and he's a really nice guy. Him and I hit it off really, really well. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot in common, and we had a good time together.
I'm excited to see Tiffany, Miss New York, back on TV because I swear when she was on Flavor of Love, she was hilarious. That girl knows how to make some good TV.
She does.
What was she like in real life?
I wish I can talk to you about this right now because it's going to be very interesting to what you see happen between Tiffany and I.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just thought she was always such gold. And as soon as we found out Jax was doing the show, she was one of the people that I got right that I thought would be a cast member. And I just cannot wait to see it. It's going to be so funny even for me to watch it.
So for those of you who don't know, Johnny Bananas, Omarosa, Shake, Johnny Fairplay, and Anfisa, New York, Bobby, Tanisha, and Corinne are the cast members on the show. in the beginning, I got along. Well, when I say the beginning, I mean the first hour, I got along with everybody.
It looked like everybody was fighting with everybody in that trailer.
Yeah, it was.
Was it that much drama?
Yeah, it was. This was something like I've never done before.
Staying in the house,
staying
can't
in the
leave.
house with all these personalities. It was. I can't wait for you guys to watch this.
I can't wait to watch it.
I've gotten a lot of comments, people saying, "Jax, you're not a villain. You're not a villain," and I really, really appreciate that. And I definitely agree with a lot of you.
I agree.
I agree. I think I was a villain at one time.
Yes, you were.
Maybe 5 years ago, I would have been a bigger villain. But I appreciate everybody giving me the comments that I was saying I wasn't a villain. I appreciate that. That was really nice of you. But I felt a little out of place at times, but I had a lot of fun. And it was a lot of ups and downs. You'll have to see. I can't really talk about it, and I'm so bummed. I can't wait for you guys to watch it. It is coming out October 12th.
October 12th.
And I will be in Boston for the premiere of this. I will be in Boston October 19th for the second episode at the Greatest Bar in Boston, Massachusetts at 8:30. So it'll be a watch party with myself and Johnny Fairplay from Survivor.
That'll be
really,
fun.
really excited. I haven't been to Boston in a long, long time, but I'm excited to meet everybody and to watch House of Villains episode 2, which it gets into it. I know episode 2, we really start to get into it.
Yeah, I cannot imagine staying all night and not being able to leave the house and stuff like that. That's going to be such a crazy experience and such a different way to do like a competition show because you're not really used to that. You came from like a reality TV show, which is not a competition show. It's more like following your real life. So it was a whole different ball game for you. Like Johnny Bananas has done a million competition shows. Yeah. So I can't wait to see I feel like you have to scam people and try to go behind each other's backs to win this kind of stuff.
I was definitely out of my league. Definitely, is that the right word? I was definitely out of my league. I think for the majority of it, I mean, there was a lot of backstabbing going on, and there's a lot of different personalities, and it was just, the fact that we had to sleep with no doors on our, in our bedrooms.
Oh,
and there's
gosh.
cameras 24/7, and I'm sleeping in a bedroom with 2 women, and it was just I snore, and it was like you're gonna see all this going down. I was just definitely out of my element there. And it was again, no technology. You're in a house with all these people. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
So it gets a little frustrating. You get anxiety.
Well, that's why they do that to you guys, so that you have to. What else are you going to do but talk, and drama's going to get stirred up, especially with that many different, very big personalities. Like every single one of you guys are a huge personality. So I can't wait to see how that turns out.
I met a lot of cool people on that show too that I've never met before, that I've heard about. Like I said, Bobby was really funny. I really, really enjoyed him. But it was just really interesting. We drank a lot because, like I said, there's not much to do there but drink. So I can't wait for you guys to watch it. I can't wait for you guys to see what goes on, how I handle the situation. I was definitely out of my element for sure.
Speaking of different types of TV shows and stuff that you've done, Jax, I want to get into some of the TV shows that you used to act on, like some of your background shows. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but Jax was on had little cameos on Desperate Housewives and was it CSI? Name some of the ones that you've done.
Dexter, CSI, Desperate Housewives, The OC. I was on The OC a lot. I was the king of under fives, and for people that don't know what under fives are, it's a one line on a TV show, or just being the principal background actor. So, to stay in the union, as I was at that time, you had to have you had to stay a line here and there to keep your dues up. So anyway, it was a lot of fun. I was on a bunch of different television shows. Sometimes I had lines, sometimes I didn't. The show that I worked on the most, though, was probably The Bold and the Beautiful. I worked on that every single week for 3 years. I was the bartender in the kind of like the Central Perk. There's a bar.
Yeah,
there was a bar on The Bold and the Beautiful that kind of everybody hung out. It was the Central Perk of Bold and the Beautiful.
That's so cool.
And I was the go-to bartender. Same thing with the OC. I was always on the OC every week, and I was the bartender again. I think it was called the Bait Shop. Was the bar.
Oh, cute. I always wondered for people that don't know, because so many people come to Hollywood and want to be an actor or an actress and get right into that, and it's so hard. And what's it actually like to do that background work? I've never done anything like that. I came to LA and my whole life was just blasted on a TV show. It was super cool for me, but I never did any of these movies, like acting, and had any of this like experience like you did. And I know it's like a grind and a hustle for so many people in LA.
It really is. It's a lot of fun. And if you want to get into the acting world, it's a good way just to get part of it, because like you see how everything goes. You see how acting is. And for instance, if there's a show of a movie or a TV show, and they have background actors, obviously the people in the back. Now I did that for a long time, but then I got really into it for a while, and I would always get the roles of hot guy, good looking bartender, boyfriend, or I'd always get these like little cameo roles after a while, because I was doing it all the time and I made friends with everybody, and they always.
Did you get to meet a lot of like celebrities on set?
Yeah, I met a lot of celebrities on set actually. And
who would you think would be your favorite, like the nicest celebrity you met on set? Because recently I've been seeing on social media all these people calling out other actors and stuff for not being nice.
Yeah.
Like I think it was like Sharon Osbourne was saying that Ashton Kutcher was mean, and like I feel like it's just been coming out. I think Sofia Vergara, somebody said Kyle Richards said that she was rude. So I'm just wondering like what your experience would be like. Like, did you have it? Who was the nicest celebrity and who was like the rudest celebrity?
Gosh, I don't know. I've done so many shows, and like they kind of keep you separate from the actors. Obviously, there's a place for the background people, and there's a place obviously for the actors.
They're like, you cannot sit with us.
You are not allowed to sit with us. But it was also a very good way to get your union card. So if you've done so much background, you would get your union card. You got 3 vouchers to get your SAG card. So that was really important. That's why a lot of people did it, because that was an easy way.
Okay, but I want the tea. Who was the nicest and who was really the rudest?
She probably doesn't remember, but her name was Rebecca Romaine Stamos. She was probably the nicest to me, because I think at the time I resembled John Stamos, and that's who she was married to at the time. So she was always really nice to me on the shows that I did with her. But I've done so many. Desperate Housewives, I was on that quite a bit.
Did you get to meet Eva Longoria?
I met
she
them all.
She seems
They were
amazing
all so
to
nice.
me.
I was very fortunate to where I wasn't just a background actor. I was kind of like a special background actor. I would always be the boyfriend, the bartender, the
He got
guy.
to deliver drinks to Edie,
or I'd
on
be like,
Desperate Housewives, which I loved Edie's character. So that's just so cool. I love to go back and watch little things that you're on and be like, there he is.
like I would always be like, they would always pick out like the main. I don't want to say I was just the main background actor, but I was on the show I was on a lot.
I was the number one background actor in the group.
I was definitely the number one background. Yeah, I was on a show called Castle a lot. I was on.
I've seen Castle. I've seen all these shows.
And I was always like hot guy, or guy in bar, or guy that dates this guy. Like I was always that person. And I was one of my favorite things that I was ever in was anything that I did with Adam McKay, anything with Will Ferrell. This Is 40. I was in that movie, and that was awesome. And just to watch that the actors do what they do, and the improv, and how they just kind of go off script, it was just really exciting, because at that time I really wanted to be an actor. So as a background actor, you get to watch these people do their craft. Like I would sneak out of the room and I would watch them do their scenes. It was just a lot of fun, and just to be present in that moment, it was a lot of fun.
What's really, you got to do a little scene with Robert De Niro. Remember how cool that was?
Yeah. So my big acting debut really didn't come until a couple years ago, where I got to do a scene with Robert De Niro and his Watch Me in the River.
Me and Lala got to watch. Well, that was whenever she was with Randall. But we won't even go into that part. But it was still so cool because Robert De Niro was there. Me and Lala were pregnant watching in the director's tent, so that was cool.
So we were actually up in Santa Barbara for Lala's baby shower at the time, and one of the actors didn't show up. One of the actors that had a role, I guess he had something else going on. Actually, it was the quarterback for the Saints, but he couldn't make it. And so Randall's like, "Hey, what do you think about playing this role?" As I think I had to assist Robert De Niro in getting the body out of the river. He was a policeman, and I had to get the body in the back of a truck and take the body to the hospital. And I had a line with him like, "Are we gonna make it?" I can't remember what the line was. It was like, "Are we gonna make it, or is everything gonna be okay?" And then not only that, I had to drive a stick shift, and it was not a normal stick shift. Now I can drive a stick.
It was a truck too. You had no clue what you were doing.
It was like a 1954 like old Chevy, and like the gears were so grinded out. So not only did I have to remember my line, but I had to drive a stick shift with Robert De Niro in the truck. I was petrified, and I only had about 10 hours notice before I got this scene. But I tell you what, it was so cool. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to happen, and it was just such a, cool thing to say that
cool
I got
experience,
to really cool experience that I got to film a movie with Robert De Niro and have a line with him and be in a movie with him was just really, really cool. So
yeah, all that is so cool. That like all the different experiences that you got to do like before Vanderpump Rules, like all your modeling days, all all the different shoots and the different things that you did. Like you've lived a crazy life, babe.
I have done a lot. Before I got into this world, before I moved to California, I was living in New York, and I lived in Miami. Then I went to Australia. Then I went to Germany, and I ended up in California. But before all that, I was modeling, and that was my career. That's what I did, and mainly my base was Miami and New York, and I would go back and forth. But the modeling days was a different world back then. You had a portfolio. There was no Instagram. There was no social media. You went on castings, but it was a lot of fun. I lived with a lot of cool guys. The nightlife was a lot of fun. Like I said, there was no social media back in those days. There was no fancy phones like they have now. It was just you going out at night and whatever happened, and it was just fun. It was just a lot of fun. And they really took care of models in those days in New York. You would eat for free. Usually, the girls...
But you lived with like 20 people in one little apartment.
Yeah, and everyone thought it was glamorous. Like I would come back home and they're like, oh my gosh, you're modeling. I saw you in this catalog and this catalog, and it's not that glamorous.
Well, remember all those reality shows started coming out that followed like people, the models, and them going on different...
It was called Oceans. Oceans something.
Yeah, it was Fifth and Ocean.
Fifth and Ocean.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
So that's when Tom Sandoval and I lived together in Miami. We actually lived above the modeling agency that had happened. The agency was called Irene Marie.
Yeah.
It was on Ocean Drive. And Tom Sandoval and I were living together, and he, I think, was on the show. Actually, I think he was on the show.
Oh, he was?
Yeah. He was on it for like a hot minute. And that's kind of when the reality thing started coming out. It started happening. And the modeling world in Miami was so small. It was basically just Ocean Drive, and it's all the modeling agencies were there. And Lincoln Drive and Ocean Drive were the two streets where all the models kind of hung out. And we all hung out together. We all had auditions usually at the same time. We all saw each other all during the day. But I tell you what, it was some of the best times in my life. I had so much fun. I was one of those that consistently worked, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it was a lot. It was really, really tough. I worked, I would say probably twice a week, and which was a lot for me. And I paid my bills and had a lot of fun. But I miss those days. They were a lot of fun. In fact, I also did the MTV show. Do you remember when Spring Break?
Yes, I watched Spring Break all the time in Panama City.
Yeah. And Tom Sandoval, they wanted Tom Sandoval and I to be on it. So that's when the song In the Club by 50 Cent came out.
Yes,
and I have all the pictures for it. And I did the runway show, MTV Spring Break.
We have got to make a little clip of all these little things that you've been in. I think it would be hilarious to have them all lined up.
And
you did Baggage Claim with Jerry Springer.
I did Baggage Claim with Jerry Springer. That's on the Game Show Network. For those of you that watch the Game Show Network, watch the show Baggage. Tom Schwartz and I were both on the show. We both won the show. We really desperately needed money. It was the prize was $500, and we were like, yes, thank God we won. But yeah, we've been on a lot.
The biggest thing I did before I came to LA was I was in a country music video called Drink Inside a Country, and it was like Bucky Covington, he won or was high up in American Idol. Shooter Jennings and Kelly Pickler was like the main girl. I just remember that thinking it was so cool. But I got a flat tire on the way. It was like it's a whole thing that I'll never forget. But that was like my one little thing that I got to be in was a country music video before I came to LA.
Music videos were fun back in the day.
So
when
fun.
Music videos used to be really popular. That's when everybody watched MTV, and if you were in a music video, I've done a couple of those too. I was in Britney Spears.
Yeah.
I was in the Plain White Tees.
Hey, don't try to one up me on my
I'm sorry.
on my country music stardom, okay?
But back in those days, doing music videos was fun because not only were you in the music video, but the whole day was really fun. You're hanging out with all these cool people, you're meeting new friends.
Yeah, I met a lot of friends on set, just other model girls that were in it. It was kind of just like a fun.
Yeah.
You've seen the music video. We show it sometimes. We'll go back on YouTube and look up Jackson as Britney Spears video or me in my little country music video and be like, there I am, or Jackson. It's so funny to look at.
Gosh, those days was fun. I because you did a little bit of everything because you were just trying to break in the industry, so you did whatever you could: music videos, modeling, background work, acting work, whatever you.
I got on mine because of Hooters. Somebody I waited on at the bar was directing it or something. It was like, would you want to be one of the girls in there? And I was going to have a bigger role in the music video, but I got a flat tire on my way and ended up having to go 2 or 3 hours late. It was a whole thing, but it was fun once I got there. It was a lot of fun.
Would you do it again? Would you be on a music video again?
Oh yeah, it was so fun. It was so fun. It was cool to get to meet all those people too and just see them. That was my first time seeing a big set and stuff, so it was really fun. But yeah, things are so crazy now because just the whole Vanderpump Rules things just I don't know.
Yeah, and obviously when the show, Vanderpump Rules happened, everything kind of just took off after that, because I was kind of at the end of my career. I was kind of figuring out, I've said this before, I was at the end of my career before when I started Vanderpump Rules. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was literally on the brink of leaving California. I think I was 30 years old at the time I started Vanderpump Rules, and I was just literally packing up my car and going to bail out of here. I don't know if I've ever told anybody this story, but before I got Vanderpump Rules, Lisa was like, do you mind staying here and going on one last audition? And I was like, you know what? I promised my mom and dad I would move back. I kind of given them like a time frame where I would stay out in LA and I'd work and have fun. But my dad was very conservative, and he was very like, listen, you need to get a job. You need to pay your bills. You're 30 years old. You need to get your shit together. And so I was like, Dad, this is my last audition, and but I'll be right home. I had to borrow $1,000 from my dad to get home. Like, that's how broke I was. I was so broke. I had no money at the time. I was overdrafting my bank account. I
feel like everybody kind of was like that when they first came to LA. I definitely was.
It's not as bad as it is now because it's super expensive now. But at the time, like, I mean, you're just living paycheck to paycheck. You're doing what you can do to get by. You're bartending, you're waiting tables, you're doing private parties, you're doing whatever you can to get by, because during the day you had to save that for your auditions, so you could only work at night. So it was a very tough time, and I got so blessed. I don't know if just the stars were aligned or what was going on, but when Vanderpump Rules happened, it was a blessing, because I was kind of like, this was my last thing. I literally had my car packed. For those of you that don't know, it's kind of a weird story. Like, I was literally going to drive back to Florida like the next day, and then Lisa's like, guess what, the show got picked up.
Well, speaking of Vanderpump Rules, we had a question come in from JA4442422, and they asked, was Jax friends with Sheena before filming Vanderpump?
I
think it'd be interesting to say who all knew each other like close before you guys started filming. A lot of people probably don't know those stories.
So one of the reasons why Vanderpump Rules was so successful, or is so successful, is because we were all friends before the show started. This was not a casted show.
How long did you know Sheena before it started?
Sheena, I met through Tom Sandoval, because Tom Sandoval was working at Villa Blanca with Sheena. So I would go in and visit Tom because I would get free dinners, because Tom was working and he would hook me up with free dinners.
So that's how you got to know Sheena.
So that's how I got to know Sheena. So Sheena was the only one that I kind of met later through the show, but we all knew each other before filming. That's why the show was good. So you knew
Katie and obviously Stassi and Tom and Tom.
Yeah, I knew them all. I knew them. Tom I've known, or Tom Sandoval I've known since I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
And then like living with Tom, I met everybody through living with Tom.
How long did Tom Schwartz like move in with you guys and all that situation happen before you all started filming Vanderpump Rules?
Okay, so I moved in with Tom Schwartz and Tom Sandoval. I was living in another apartment. My lease was up. I was looking for a place to stay, and I was hanging out with Tom Sandoval again. I'm like, I met up with him because we were living together in Miami. I met up with him again. He's like, oh my gosh, you're living in California now. And I go, yeah, I'm actually looking for a place to stay. And those guys were kind of just scraping money together to get by as well. They're like, hey, what about moving into my living room? We'll cut it off. We'll make it a wall. You can live in the area. We'll charge you $125 a week. And I was like, that's perfect, because I didn't have a lot of money at the time. So we all lived together. Then all the girls kind of started coming around because we were all working at restaurants together. That's how we all met each other.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah. I love that. And then I guess Sheena's whole Brandy Glanville thing is what kind of like carried it over from Housewives to Vanderpump Rules.
So they used a transition to come into Vanderpump Rules. They used the story of Brandy and Sheena, that Sheena was kind of, I guess I can't remember, she was talking to a guy that was married at the time.
No, I think it was Brandy and Eddie, right?
Brandy was married to Eddie at the time. Again, it's very, I don't remember exactly.
It's a long time ago.
But Sheena was talking to him, and I don't think they were divorced yet. Or something. Do you remember?
I wasn't around.
Okay, so
I just know that it was a crossover. Like the first episode was a crossover from the Housewives, and then it led into Vanderpump Rules, and that was kind of like the connection, and then it introduced all of you guys.
So how they do it on the shows is they take a very popular show, like Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is an extremely popular show, and we were a spinoff of that. So what they did is they used Real Housewives as a lead-in for our show, and it worked out perfectly.
Yeah, it was like a perfect switchover, because I think there actually was a little bit of drama going on between Lisa and her friends and Sheena, and it was going back. It's so funny to think about. But also, speaking of Brandy Glanville, I think that she has this like ad thing that goes up on her Facebook, and it's just kind of like clickbait, and you get paid for that. A lot of people don't realize that. And recently they like refurbished our photo whenever we announced that we were pregnant with Cruz. It was the ultrasound of me holding it, and it said that Jax and Brittany are pregnant with baby number 2. So I got so many questions coming in from people being like, are you guys pregnant with baby number 2? But no, that was just a ad that people run sometimes, and it starts it for clickbait. Brandy probably has no idea that was even on her page. page. It's like sometimes you get paid by Facebook or different social media things to just like let them run ads, and I think that's what happened there. But that was
exactly
definitely
what happened.
clickbait.
It happened on Kim Zolciak's page.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
She said that we were getting divorced.
Yes,
last week.
same
So
exact thing.
Every week it's something else, and they're just reusing stuff, and it's 100% clickbait.
Yes.
They're all getting paid for ads. It's kind of a new thing that Facebook does, and yeah. So we're gonna let you know right now that's not true.
We're not pregnant yet. We definitely want to be. We definitely want another kid, but we are definitely not divorced either.
Yeah, so, and they couldn't even use the right picture. They used the picture from our first child.
That was already on our Instagrams.
Yeah, so they should probably do their research a little bit and do their homework a little better.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question, Jax, and I'll answer it as well. That a lot of people have written in and asked if you could relive one moment from Vanderpump Rules, what would it be?
If I could relive one moment from Vanderpump Rules, what would it be? That is a tough.
Like, would it be
question.
like a good moment that you want to relive again for the happy times, or would it be a bad moment so you could change the outcome?
Well, I think for me it would be a bad moment that I could change the outcome. But
Yeah.
a lot of the bad moments, except for one, have made the show what it was. I don't think the show would be what it would be if I didn't do some of my crazy antics. Obviously, there's a big one in there that I would love to take back.
Yes.
I was going through some crazy times during that, but I would probably take back a couple things that I did. Obviously, the sunglasses thing. I think maybe, obviously, the situation between you and I, that everybody knows about. I'd love to take that back. Yeah, I think those are the two bigger boos. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're like, I would definitely change it and redo it and erase it from forever. And I wish that could happen too.
Yeah. I don't want to change too much because, like I said, I think
you got to learn and grow.
Yeah, you got to learn and grow. But I also think that's what made the show entertaining. That's why people watch reality TV. People watch reality TV for the chaos, for the villains.
For sure.
They're not watching for the boring people.
And it's also a good way, like being on reality TV can be hard to like relive some of the crazy things that you've done, but it also can be like a way to reflect and look at yourself and be like, oh crap, I can't believe I did that. It's a way to also like teach yourself lessons and really learn and grow. Yeah. And I think Jax is a perfect example of somebody who has like changed and tried to learn and grow from his mistakes. And I appreciate that, honey.
Yeah, I've definitely gotten a lot older. I can't do a lot of the things that I used to do anymore. I mean, even when I was doing House of Villains, there was things that going on. I'm like, I'm too old for this. Yeah. I can't do this. And I was just giving props to some of the other villains on the show. I'm like, you guys, how do you still do this stuff? How do you still get into this? And they're like, this was our lives. I'm like, yeah, it is my lives. That's why I was kind of thinking like, you know what? Maybe I'm not as big as a villain as these people think I am anymore. I'm a reformed villain.
Reformed bad boy.
Reformed bad boy.
I think like obviously this was one of my favorite moments that we filmed was our wedding weekend. I would love to go do that all over, but I would not change a thing. It was so perfect and it was just the best weekend of my life. I mean, of course there's things that you look back and are like, whatever, but altogether, that was like one of the best weekends of my life. It was so much fun, and I just loved every single moment of it.
I loved it too, and our wedding was 3 days long.
It was awesome.
And it went by so fast. For those of you getting married, for those of you planning a wedding right now, because I always get a lot of questions like this on Cameo. Everyone always asks me.
Actually, from Chelsea Mary, we have, what was the hardest and easiest thing about planning your wedding, and do you have any tips?
Here's if I was going to finish this. So
yeah, if you have any tips, that'd be great.
If I could go back, if I could change something about my wedding, I'll tell you what I would change. I didn't really embrace the being engaged part, and I think that's because having a fiance. I didn't process that. I didn't really enjoy the having a fiance because I think it's because we were filming and I didn't really just get to enjoy having the fiance. And I think, the wedding went by so fast. It went by so fast. For those of you planning a wedding,
we were engaged for a whole year before we got married.
But we were filming, so it never really got in my head that we were engaged. I kept feeling like if it was like a scene, we got engaged and then we just continue filming and did other things. I didn't enjoy the process. I'm like, oh, this is my fiance, because at those times we were working so much and we were filming so much, so we were on to the next topic. We would film something, on to the next thing. So for those of you planning a wedding right now, I get this question a lot on Cameo. Like I said, what suggestions do you give? Enjoy the process of planning a wedding. And it's also a very big test in your relationship because planning a wedding is extremely hard. There's a lot that goes into it.
I love that Jackson's saying this when he literally had no idea what the wedding was going to be like.
I did it, but it's the problem. The only reason
I had an amazing wedding planner, and me and him, you kind of took over the house stuff. I took over the the wedding stuff.
We said this before that
Yeah.
we bought our house and got married at the same time because it was just, that's the way it worked out. And so I decided to take over the house portion to get that under the way, and Brittany took over the wedding portion of it. So I chimed in on certain things once in a while. Brittany would be like, do you like this or this? And, I gave my input, but, it's just, there's a lot that goes into planning a wedding. And it's like, I think people just kind of skate over it so fast and they don't realize that this is a huge portion of the beginning of your relationship. And it's also a big test because can be some arguing that goes on back and forth. And it's kind of your true test in marriage before you're even married, really.
Yeah.
So I suggest, my big suggestion to everybody out there planning a wedding, enjoy the process.
Yeah, enjoy it.
You're spending a lot of money too.
Yes. And obviously listen to each other's wants and needs. Like a woman normally has more like planning and has planned since they were little and like knows exactly what they want it to look like. But I still wanted to make sure like I had special moments for Jax there, especially like having the chair set up just for his father and like things like that will mean so much to your partner as well.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't have a huge role in this. I was kind of like,
I made sure you liked everything first, right?
Yeah, I knew what Brittany wanted, you know, and we have a very similar taste in things. So everything she picked, I was gonna like anyway. Like I said, we're very, very similar in the things that we like. The only thing that I was really in charge of was obviously the suits, what the guys were wearing. I wanted to make sure guys had cool tennis shoes after the wedding, things like that. Make sure everybody had their hotel rooms ready, things like that. I had a very small part in the planning of the wedding. I was there for the food tasting.
The cake
tasting, things like that.
He came to like the big important things, and then he let me. And our wedding planner was amazing. Mitchell, we trusted him with everything, and he made my wedding dreams like become a reality, and it was just so perfect.
By the way, side note: the castle just sold for $19 million.
That is insane.
$19 million. The castle just sold for, and I think it was just bought by 3 or 4 doctors in the beginning for $3 million.
But they updated everything, made an amazing restaurant. Put like a spa in, a pool.
Do you know what's going on with the castle now?
I'm sure they're still going to do like weddings and everything. I mean, it's just so beautiful. It's such a perfect venue.
It's beautiful.
I just absolutely love it.
The location is right by the airport. You're right by all the horse farms. You're right by Keeneland. It's an amazing, beautiful property.
And a lot of people didn't know this, but like the castle burned down before, like majority of it burnt down. They had to build it back up. And even through all that, I knew growing up, every time I drove past it, I was like, I'm going to get married there one day. So it just like, made me the happiest ever.
It was a beautiful time. Like I said, it was 3 days, but gosh, it went by so fast. So I always say just, take a lot of mental pictures, because enjoy the process, because you're spending a lot of money and it just goes by so quick. You're literally buying dinner for X amount of people.
And make sure, this is another thing that I will give advice to people that are getting married. When you're at your reception, take the time to go up to each individual table and like say thank you for coming, because it goes by so fast. And that's one thing that Jackson and I didn't do that I regret. Like we were so busy and like trying to go around and talk to everybody, but like making a point to go up to each individual table, I think is such a great idea.
And spend time with the people that you don't see that much. Obviously I told my friends that I'm not going to be hanging around you as much because we had a destination wedding and people paid money to come to our wedding. We were in Kentucky, so people came from all over the place. I have a question for you.
Okay.
This is a question that just came into my head because I heard this on a podcast as well. Do you think that people need to bring a present or a gift if they're going to your destination wedding? For instance, they came to our wedding. Should they bring a gift, or is their presence enough?
You know what? I feel like if it's a destination wedding, that the presence is enough. But I think I personally, as the bride, would not be mad at somebody if they came all the way to Kentucky and like didn't give me a gift. Like I would never even think twice about it.
No, because they're paying for plane tickets, hotels.
Exactly.
And that's enough. And for us, like people did bring gifts, but I thought that was a cool question. I was listening to another podcast about that. And I was like, well, that's a very interesting question. And like I said, we didn't need that. I didn't want people to do that. Even though they did, I wouldn't expect people to bring gifts to a destination wedding. That goes for any destination, because you're paying a lot of money.
I agree. I would not be like, I wouldn't even notice, I don't think, if somebody didn't bring me some, you know what I mean? Like you're just so happy that everybody's there, and it means a lot to you that people want to spend that moment with you. So I think that is just way more than enough. Really quick before we go, an update on the bar. Things are happening. We're getting closer and closer. Jax's Studio City is almost ready. There's a lot to do still, but we are getting close.
I'm freaking the F out. We have a soft friends opening this Saturday.
Yes.
It's kind of a friends and family. In fact, my friend Jesse said, because it's so not done yet, and yet I need to have a little gathering there on Saturday. We're kind of calling it a hard hat party.
Yes.
Which means everybody's it's almost like a sip and see.
Yeah. Sip and see, like our little baby bar.
It's our baby bar because, man, I've been involved in this bar and I'm so fortunate. It's like winning the lottery.
Yes.
That I got asked to do this, but man, there's a lot of work that goes into it. And we are literally trying to get this done so quickly because we are in football season, and football season is where you make your money.
Yep.
And I'm trying to get open as quickly as I can. And I get so many questions. When's the bar going to be opening? We are trying so hard to get it open within the next 2 weeks. So make your plans. I cannot wait to see each and every one of you. DM me on Instagram, DM Brittany. We will do our best to make sure that we are there. So if you're going to do the Vander Crawl, I like to call it the Vander Crawl.
Add Jax's to the list.
Add Jax's to the list. We are over the hill. We are a little bit different than the rest of the bars.
We're close to like Schwartz and Sandy's.
We are close to Schwartz and Sandy's. We are a little bit less bougie. I told Tom and Tom, we're not as bougie as those. You don't have to get really dressed up and dolled up. We just want your presence.
About the fun.
We're about the fun. We don't mind if you wear shorts and flip-flops. We got TVs, but we're also a lounge, a tavern. We just want people to come and enjoy themselves. But
it's going good. It's going good, and we're definitely nervous about the soft opening. Like you said, there's still a lot to do, but it's definitely in the works, and it'll be opening soon. So we cannot wait for everyone to see it, and we're going to start posting like pictures and updates. But we just cannot wait to like reveal how much we've changed
for all those folks,
the decor and everything that was involved.
And for all those folks that love merch, that have been asking about me, the merch is coming. We've been kind of going back and forth and butting heads on different merch. So the first kind of rollout of merch is coming because I wanted to get something out there for everybody that watches this show and watches everybody, and kind of it just supports us that we love. So we got some really, really good merch coming, and I'm really excited. We partner with a company called Kinetics, which I love dearly. I've been wearing them for years. It's super soft stuff. So sorry, I'm running out of breath. But we just really, really can't wait. We can't wait for you guys to see it, and the merch will be up soon because I got a lot of questions about that.
Jax is all about merch. He cracks me up talking about merch 24/7. I'm like, okay.
Well, because I love it. I got really into it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know how popular merch was until Vanderpump Rules came out, and everybody was like wearing their merch while they watched episodes of the show. It's a big deal now.
But the bar is way more exciting. I cannot wait for everybody to get a peek of it. And it'll be opening soon, but everything is going good. There's definitely a lot to do, but we're so excited.
Guys, I'm so stressed.
Woo!
I'm so
Jax
stressed.
is stressing out. I'm, of course, being more positive and thinking everything's just going to be just perfect. Anyway. Positive vibes, everyone. Positive vibes.
Anyway, oh gosh, here's another thing. Do we have a little bit more time?
You actually got to get. You got to go.
Oh, I do have to go.
Yeah.
Guys, I have a lunch in Beverly Hills with my good friend Jesse. But I want to get into, we went to a comedy show. We'll get into that next week.
Oh, yes. The comedy show was amazing. It was...
Nate Benghazi?
Yes, that was so much fun. I mean, we could talk about that a little bit. We went with our friends Jesse and Michelle. It was so fun. He reminded me of like my brother, Wes, so much. The things that he joked about, the way that he talked, is they're from Louisville, Kentucky originally. So it was just such an amazing comedy show. We had the best time.
He actually messaged me.
Yeah.
I got the message a little bit late, but I really wanted to get a picture with him. And he's kind of more my era of comedians. He's in his 40s. He, obviously talks about how things were in the 80s and the 90s, which I really love that kind of comedy.
It was funny.
We had a great time. We were fourth row at the Greek. It was an amazing time. We were laughing our asses off. We may or may have not taken a little bit of mushrooms, and I had fun with that. I'm not gonna lie, I did. It was fun, and we were just laughing our butts off. It was a great date night. We went to a wonderful restaurant called the Glen. Was it the Glen?
Yeah, the Gwen.
Oh, the Gwen. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was so delicious.
Oh my gosh, it was probably the best steak I've ever had in my life.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We have missed you guys. Sorry that we've been so busy. We got a little bit behind, but we are back on track, and we have some amazing guests coming on, and I'm so excited to share that with you guys. We can't wait to share everything that's been going on because we have been very busy, but it's all for great things that we are so excited to share with you all. Thanks for tuning in to When Reality Hits with Jax and Brittany.
See you later, guys. We'll see you next week.